welcome Chair and Chief Executive Officer, Chuck Robbins.
Thank you. You know, I was thinking about Cisco Live, and I was thinking every year I come on stage and I say, you know, this is the most important Cisco Live we've ever had. And this year I think it's true. Not that it hasn't been true in the past, it's been true in the past, but if you think about everything that's going on right now, this is a really, really, really important time. And I want to thank all of you in this room, all of you in the overflow areas, and those online who last year watched some portion of this, like 15 million different streams last year. And so we appreciate you joining. We appreciate you spending time with us. And I hope that when you leave Las Vegas this week, you truly feel like this is a great, great use of your time. Before we get going, though, I want to reflect. I'm going to be a little nostalgic. Not for the sake of being nostalgic, but sometimes when we look back, it helps us think about the future. And 40 plus years ago, Cisco built the first router. Who remembers what it was called? Okay, you guys are too young. The lovely AGS. It was a simple idea. The two founders, professors at Stanford, who were on disparate network or computer types, wanted to communicate, and they built the first router. And they thought that that connectivity could truly unleash amazing possibilities. And they taught us the key lesson of the internet revolution, that the network is truly more powerful than the node. And as we think about what's going on in our businesses, and as you think about what you're trying to accomplish inside your organization, you understand that to be true. Every technology revolution we've seen has been ultimately dependent upon the network. The internet, right? I remember my first computer. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but you all know how old I am anyway. It was powerful and it was fun and it was amazing. But then when it got connected, it was incredible. And the experience just elevated. Think about the mobile revolution. I remember hosting young students at Cisco, and they would come in and if you really pressed them, they didn't really know what we did. They didn't know what we built. And I would always tell them to pull out their phones, and I just said, here, I'm going to make it very simple for you. If we didn't do what we do, that wouldn't work. And then they go, oh my God, I don't know what you do, but please keep doing it. And then cloud, and now AI. The buzz we hear around GPUs is incredibly important. The models are incredibly important. Inference is incredibly important. The apps, the agentic revolution, all that mythos, which we'll talk about later. They're all nodes, though. And they're super powerful independently, but they're massively more powerful when they're networked. And none of it works without you and the things you do to make it all come to life for your organization. And the good news for us is this thing's moving really slowly so we can take our time, become educated, understand it, design a multi-year security architecture. Okay. It's moving faster than anything we've ever seen in our lives. And not only is the technology moving fast, we get to layer on a lot of other things going on in the world. The geopolitical landscape is complicated. We have inflation primarily due to the war in the Middle East. We've got political division, polarization. The world's dynamic at a time where we have a sense of urgency. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's a bit chaotic. Aren't you glad you came? But you think about it. We're in a full-out sprint. I mean, many of you walked in the room maybe half an hour ago. But you realize, like, the world we live in today, in the last half hour, a new model could have been launched, that we'd all be scrambling. An attacker might have taken down some major system. Some political statement could have caused a seismic shift in the global geopolitical landscape. This is what we're dealing with. Which is why it's really important for all of us to do the things that we're doing to help our customers or to help your organizations, whether you're a customer, government, enterprise, partner, actually deliver the right technology with the appropriate security, with the right workforce. That's never been more important. And despite all the uncertainty, and despite all the fear, I fundamentally believe that we will together meet this moment because of all the people in this room and all the people who are watching today online. Because as we look at what has to be accomplished, many of us have been here before. There was similar uncertainty with the rise of the internet. I remember when some folks in a company I worked for back a long time ago said, we're never going to run IBM mainframe traffic across that little junior network you're building. Right? Or there'll never be an internet connection into this organization. That's just crazy. Do you realize the risk we would have if that occurred? People were fearful. People were distrustful. They didn't understand it. And all of you or your predecessors led the way. And look at where we are now. Everybody talks about whether we're in a bubble. And I go, I don't know. And they talk about whether .com was a bubble. I go, okay, doesn't matter. The winners emerged. The people in this room embraced the technology. And we continued to benefit from everything that happened during that time. And you were the architects of that, and you're going to be the architect of how AI reshapes industries, organizations. Whether you're designing factory systems, you're making classrooms more personalized and productive, you're helping science analyze data and advance disease cures, transforming customer experience. That's what you're doing. You're building and securing the infrastructure that will power incredible outcomes. And we all know that when the network works, nobody thinks about it. Right? When it doesn't work, you might get a phone call because of exactly what I've been describing. The power of the network brings all of it together, makes it happen, and together we have this incredible responsibility and opportunity to build the infrastructure in a way that makes AI useful, secure, trusted, real, and that's exciting. And collectively, I believe we are truly going to deliver the critical infrastructure for the AI era. Between Cisco and you, we're at the center of this. Based on what we know today, we believe that the network traffic associated with AI will triple in the next 3 years. You remember when video was like revolutionary and we kept upgrading networks and everything? Here we are again. And by the way, we think they're going to triple based on what we know today. We have robotics, we have manufacturing, we have physical AI. All those things are going to put traffic on the networks at an incredible pace. Over 90% of you have said, I got to be modernizing my technology infrastructure today. I got to make my network more resilient. I got to be ready for this transition. We're working on it. You're working on it. And Cisco wants to partner with you because we believe we have a unique capability because we have this full stack. And Jeetu will talk a lot about that, I'm sure. From silicon to the platform with security, observability, to help you implement the infrastructure that you need to for your organizations to take advantage of this wave. Today, I'm really proud. I stood on stage a few years ago and talked about how we were going to increase the pace of innovation, and the teams have done just that, maybe to a point where it's hard to absorb sometimes. You're going to hear about it today. Agentic ops with Cisco Cloud Control, resilient infrastructure, trust for agentic workforce. You'll hear more of that from Jeetu and his team. Also Cisco IQ from Liz. She'll talk about that. In just a few weeks, we have 1,700 plus customers who are using that technology. And 90% of them have self-onboarded because of the importance of deploying that technology to understand what it is you have in your infrastructure and what you need to be thinking about to prepare not only for the AI build out, but also to the security implications of a lot of what we've been talking about. And just like last year, we'll continue to work with you in 3 big areas. Number 1, helping you build AI-ready data centers. You'll hear a lot about that this week. Helping future-proof your workplaces, and doing all of that with a foundation of security and digital resilience. And you're gonna hear a lot from Jeetu, Liz, the team all week in the breakouts on exactly that. And while we're delivering all the innovation, we're talking about this today and this week, we have to be ready for what's ahead. And we're working on that as well. I met with many of you this year at some point along the way. I know our teams have met with many of you. We talked to governments around the world, heads of state, US governments, and the questions they're asking have changed. Just think if we had hosted Cisco Live, say 90 days ago, we wouldn't talk about Mythos. Think about that. 90 days ago, we were all talking about memory. That was the thing everybody wanted to talk about. Then as soon as Mythos was released, we stopped talking about memory, maybe not completely, but we shifted. And this is a CEO level discussion. There is an understanding of the criticality of what's going on here. And the questions that were being asked. I'm the chair of the Business Roundtable in the United States, which is the top 240 companies in America. And we're hosting calls with CEOs who want to learn about Mythos, who want to understand what they should be doing in their organizations. How do we secure and govern AI? How do we protect our data? How do we trust autonomous systems? How do we move fast while balancing risk? These are things that you're all thinking through because they're all walking in your office, probably daily. What progress have we made since yesterday? What are we thinking? How's it going to impact us? And for many of you, you're dealing with a lot of this in an uncertain way because you haven't gotten your hands on some of this new technology. There's 3 key areas, and one obviously is cyber defense. AI changes the speed of defense. The bad corollary to that is it's empowering our adversaries at a pace that we've never seen in our careers. It's become very real with models like Mythos. And my team and others in the industry have said this, so this is not an original statement from me, but just we all have to remember these models are as bad today as they're ever going to be. Right? And so we were part of Glasswing. Our goal was to understand how we could safeguard our customers, how we could come together as a broader ecosystem to work on AI-powered defense and to stop AI-powered threats. And the most striking thing is, it's not necessarily the technology, it's the implications, the business implications, the societal implications, the government implications. Those are the discussions we're having. We've had access to GPT 5.5 Cyber, and we open sourced Foundry Security Spec, which is a harness or a blueprint for agentic security evaluation of systems so that you can actually take a look at how this will play out once you start working with these models, and I would encourage all of you to take a look at that. We really need to work together to think about how we defend against these emerging threats and how we make sure that we build that architecture in a way that allows us to spend more time talking about the benefits of AI, the positives of AI. Every technology transition we've ever been through has brought the great benefits of the technology and unintended negatives. And I want us to work together to deal with some of these complexities so that we can all focus on delivering the positive benefits for our organizations. But how we build these architectures and how we defend are going to have to fundamentally change. You're going to hear more from that from Jeetu today. Now, we originally were supposed to have the White House National Cyber Director, Sean Cairncross, was going to be here with us today. And something arose yesterday, as it tends to do in Washington, and he's unable to be here. But a lot of what he would have shared with you, and he really wanted to talk to this group, would be about how do you ensure that your infrastructure is prepared? How do we make sure we don't have tech debt? And our teams put out a document called Shields Up. And you can see on the screen where you can download it today and take a look at the things that you need to do. Because we realize that every customer hasn't had access to some of these models. But there are a lot of things you can do today that will help you feel better about how you're heading into the future. We put out a blog this morning from Anthony Greco. It shares that in the last 8 weeks, we scanned 1.8 billion lines of code in 25 different programming languages. Before these models, that would have probably taken us 8 years. You think about that, 1.8 billion. And again, remember, these models are as bad today as they're ever going to be. It's just going to keep getting better. And this is one of the positive benefits. We're finding things. We're going to put out patches. The blog explains how we're going to approach patches for our customers as we move forward, and I would encourage all of you to take a look at that as well. We spend a lot of time talking to governments. We talk to governments in the US, we talk to governments around the world, and what we're hearing from governments around the world, and this really started in Europe, was this desire for sovereign infrastructure, where you want us to meet your evolving needs around sovereignty of data, sovereignty of AI, sovereignty of cloud services. And this means that we have to change how we operate to actually be able to deliver for you. And it's not one size fits all. I wish it was, it'd be a lot easier. But there are countries all around the world that have variations of requirements that they're asking us to deliver so that they can feel good about sovereignty and however they define sovereignty. And it's not consistent, I can assure you. But we're working hard. We launched Sovereign Critical Infrastructure Portfolio, primarily targeted at Europe early on. But we're hearing this in Asia, we're hearing this in other parts of the world. The need for on-prem, air-gapped, AI-ready infrastructure with trust-based licensing. And we're going to help you build that architecture with more control, more visibility, more security, and more confidence during the uncertain times that we're navigating. And then there's this new technology on the horizon called quantum. And it is going to be a major disruption, much like AI. It's a fundamental shift in computing. It'll be great because it'll have the power to solve complex challenges fast. If you think about combining quantum with AI, and you think about attacking chronic diseases, what's possible will be mind-boggling as we go to the future. It'll also bring some risks that we all have to work on together. Some of you are thinking about this, some of you are not. We've been investing and innovating in this space over the last 6 or 7 years so that we'll be ready when you're ready. We've made incredible progress on the R&D front with a full stack of hardware, software, and we recently launched the Universal Quantum Switch Working Research Prototype. And I do believe this will bring incredible opportunities for us so that when it becomes an imperative for your organization, we want to be there for you. Then I want to highlight, we talked about the network is more powerful than the node, and that applies to the organization and the people in this room, watching remotely, watching virtually. There are massive challenges that we're all looking to solve together. And it comes back to one idea, and that's trust. And you're trying to define where trust, security, governance, judgment live in an AI-powered world. And we want to continue to partner with you, continue to have the relationship that we've had for 30 or 40 years with many of you. We want to go on this journey together with you. And I think the power of this network, of all the people in this room, with Cisco and our partners, is going to be more important than ever, because the criticality of us working very closely together to do two major things. Number one, prepare our technology infrastructure for the challenges that are going to be coming at us. But secondly, and what I hope is more important, is to deliver the benefits that the technology will provide for the organizations in which all of us operate. You're going to hear a lot about this over the next day or two, but to talk about how one of our major enterprise customers is actually leveraging technology for the customer experience and how these AI waves, how they're thinking about that, please join me in welcoming to the stage Brian Niccol, the CEO of Starbucks. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah.
Hang on one second.
Yeah.
I need the cards. They're not up here. This is Ashley. Say thank you, Ashley. And she's a Tar Heel for those who care. Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. After hearing all that, it makes me feel good we sell coffee.
Hey, by the way, I had 2 cups this morning, so I hope I helped.
You helped the cause.
How many people drank Starbucks this morning? There you go.
Perfect.
We're going to do a commercial for a few million people to be better customers for you.
There you go.
So Brian and I have known each other a reasonably long time. We met when you were at Chipotle.
That's right. Yeah.
And when you decided to make this change, we joked about how your challenges were going to be different. Maybe we'll get into that. But Chipotle was rocketing. It was incredible. And you've led multiple companies through transitions and how things change. And I'd say you're probably doing something similar right now at Starbucks. How do you, I wonder, like, when you go into a company that you haven't been a part of, how do you orient yourself to this completely new organism that's big? I know if somebody came in and took my job here, number one, they'd do it a lot better, but it'd be really complicated. It'd be really complicated to learn all this complex stuff. So how do you do that?
Yeah, well, look, in the case of Starbucks and some of the other businesses, obviously they're customer-first businesses, consumer businesses that you first have to understand how do you do a great job for your customer. And then in the case of Starbucks, obviously, because it's a retail business, we also have to understand what are we doing to make sure that our partners, the ones serving our customers, are also set up for success. So you start there, and then obviously as you get into the organization, there's a lot of learning. And you got to be open to the idea of doing a lot of listening and a lot of learning before necessarily you start sharing what you want everybody to go do. And so, I've taken the approach of, you got to come in with a strong point of view of what you believe the company needs to do for the customer and our coffee house leaders or our partners. And then at the same token, you got to take the time to make sure you listen and learn how the organization actually gets work done, how decisions are made, and figure out what's the most efficient way to get to the right outcomes for our customers.
That's great. You're 2 years in?
Coming up on 2 years,
Coming up on 2 years?
Yeah.
I'm finishing 11. And so at what point do you feel, because a lot of the folks in this room right now are dealing with all the complexity, and we're all learning too. It's sort of similar to you. We're just learning new stuff in the roles we're in. But at what point do you feel like you got enough information to make educated decisions and start moving on stuff that in some cases would be hard to reverse?
Yeah, I mean, look, you said it earlier, right? It's the speed at which change is happening, or the speed at which culture is changing, is unlike anything we've seen before. So the trick is you got to figure out how to make the decisions with the best available information and then pivot accordingly. I found that, at least in our organizations, we sometimes think more of the decisions are more permanent than they really are. And so you're better off to get going. and then take in the new information and pivot accordingly. And I think that's been the biggest change that we've had to get across in our organization is we have to be an organization that's convicted in what we want to do, but we have to have the agility to listen to the feedback that we're getting and then be aware of what's changing around us, because the changes are fast and unexpected. I don't know about you. I mean, every morning I wake up and I'm
what happened?
I'm like, here we go. You've got to have an element of you enjoy that pace and you're not afraid to embrace the idea of, I didn't see that coming. And I think that's the other thing too, is like, I say this to everybody all the time, like, if I knew what was going to happen next week with any sort of certainty, you know, we'd probably be doing some other things besides what we're doing right here. But you got to have the conviction to know what your business is all about, and then I think the curiosity to not be afraid to learn and pivot where new things start showing up.
You really have to make decisions knowing that 5 days later you may have a new piece of information that makes that decision completely wrong.
Yeah, and I think you got to be transparent enough to be like, hey, look, it's a new day. I always tell everybody too, it's like when you get new information, you do have the right to change your mind.
Yeah.
You know, you're not stuck.
Yeah. I said on a podcast recently that making a bad decision and adjusting quickly is better than sitting and not making a decision at all. So I think we have similar experience on that. One of the things that you really highlighted is the connection between your employee experience and the customer experience, and the culture that you drive, and how that translates through to how your customer experience is. Talk a little bit about how that comes to life.
Yeah, so, you know, not dissimilar to your point of like the power of the network. I think the power of connection in our business, the human connection between, call it our partners and our customers, is really one of our biggest points of difference. And that's one of the things that we've been focused on, frankly, is making sure that people understand that Starbucks is in the business of great customer experiences, and we're also in the business of creating spaces where people have the ability to connect. And that connection is human-to-human connection that we're trying to create. And we got to have a culture that ultimately takes advantage of technology, you know, whatever information we may have, menu innovation, atmosphere, where ultimately we are the place where people say, this is where I want to be to connect, build community. And the partners that we hire are those folks that take huge pride in running their coffee house. And the fact that they would know, Chuck has a venti, what's your coffee order? You said venti. Pike Place?
Just regular coffee?
Just regular coffee.
I just drink regular coffee, man, sorry.
We got to trade you up. There's some opportunity here.
Is that's called an upsell, right?
Yeah, we're doing an upsell right now. But you know,
I'm a simple guy.
I appreciate that. But you know what? The barista would know, hey, Chuck is a Pike, venti, and they would be excited to see you. And our job, frankly, is to set our partner up so that they can have that moment of connection with you, and then you feel like you're in a place where, you know what, this is where I belong, this is where I can build community, whether it's a moment for yourself or a moment to share with other people.
Yeah, everybody loves like people remembering, right? I mean, that's a big deal.
I'm probably dating myself. It's a little bit of Cheers, right? Everybody likes to know.
You are dating yourself. If you didn't notice in my keynote, I tried a few moments where I was reflecting back on something in history, and no one in here knew what the heck I was talking about.
I was there for you, though.
Thank God you were. All right, let's talk a little bit about digital, because we've been working with you a long time, and you guys have been a digital innovator, and particularly around how technology, I mean, this was before you, but the technology power in the store. How do you think about how that's changing right now with AI and data? I mean, originally it was like, we're going to offer Wi-Fi, and that's cool because people would go, it would attract people to your cafes, right? How do you think about today with all the emerging tech?
You know, I mean, obviously, the connection now is probably greater than ever in pieces of our business that we probably hadn't originally thought about, whether it's supply chain, preparing schedules, forecasting, kind of all the things behind the scenes that set up our partners to have a great experience. And then obviously we have our app and our rewards program that we started a while ago that, you know, relies on having the right connectivity as well. But I'd say the biggest change over the last 6 months is just the ability to do those tasks, in a way that we're much more accurate, much more informed. Frankly, we're probably a little bit behind because we're going to be able to get to a place where I think the back of our stores are going to get smaller because we're going to have better information to make sure that we have the right amount of syrup in the store at the right amount of time. Yeah. And the same thing when you get to like the food experience or the drink experience, we're going to make sure that we have those products in the store at the right time, ready to go for our partners every single time. And I just think the days of having to ship cases of things are starting to move to like we can start sending eaches and do this every day because we can get to a replenishment schedule where within 12 to 24 hours, we've got the information that we can work all the way back through so that it doesn't have to be a case. It could be, we need 1 vanilla syrup and we need 1 bag of beans. We don't need cases of these things. And that's gonna be really a huge unlock for us.
Yeah. And I assume that the technology actually can enhance the personalization of the experience, right? I mean,
without a doubt.
We're seeing that everywhere.
We're seeing that already.
If you do it right.
Yeah, well, that's why eventually we're gonna get you from just a regular cup of coffee.
Yeah, I'm up-leveling, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send you a text later and tell you what I had.
I can feel your future of an iced Americano with a vanilla cold foam. I feel it.
Can you guys write that down so I can get one and try it later?
But you're exactly right, because what happens is the more information we have, it's pretty amazing. Our predictability of what you're going to order based on day of week, time of day, just goes way up. And then that better informs how we staff the store, how we deploy the store, and how we set up the inventory in the store.
Yeah, and that really does help you with the thing you were talking about first, which is having the maximized amount of supplies in there, optimal from a cost perspective. That's great. So let's shift to AI a little bit. Where do you see AI showing up? How are you guys using it in general? Just give us a general landscape of how you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the way we're approaching AI is we're looking at kind of all of our processes, from the beginning to end, and then just looking at where are those areas in the process where, one, it's digital and it's repeatable, and then we ask the question, could we be using technology or AI in this part of the process? And places where we see it more often is, frankly, kind of behind the coffee house experience, and then a lot of places in our corporate office, right? Whether it's accounting, legal, HR practices, and then obviously a lot in the supply chain. We're spending a lot of time right now on supply chain, forecasting, and kind of scheduling in the stores because the predictability has just gone way up. And before, we'd say it's an aid. Now I think it's going to be something where it's like high confidence so that almost our store managers don't have to mess around with trying to figure out, should I have, 10 bottles of water in the cold case or 15 bottles of water in the cold case, because that AI model will know, well, if it's Tuesday, you're on the East Coast and it's 80 degrees, this store goes through this amount of water. So this is the way we'll ship it in, this is the way you'll staff it, and this is the way ultimately you'll stock it.
Yeah, well, you should be glad that when you think about supply chain, you don't have DRAM issues to deal with right now. You don't have no DRAM in coffee. How do you think about, is AI from a customer perspective, it's just a layer that helps with the personalization, I assume, correct?
Yeah. So the way we've thought about a lot of the AI technologies, how do we use it to make Starbucks a better Starbucks? And really for us, that is, for most people, the customization experience of getting to the drink that they want. The thing that's pretty amazing is like whenever you walk up to a Starbucks coffee counter, like if you happen to order in a mobile order, or even if you go into the store and order, it's really fascinating. When you get to the counter, no two drinks are the same. Yeah. Like, no two drinks are the same. If you actually took a moment and look at those labels, no two drinks are the same. And the way I think we can use AI behind the scenes is to help us get to those solutions even faster, and then help our partners be able to build those drinks faster and more accurate. And that's really how we're using the technology, is enabling that craft and then that customization aspect.
So just a couple of questions for this audience so that we can help them understand how you think and how they think about what they need to be doing. So when you think about innovation and you talk to your technology team, what guidance do you give them about how these people in this room and watching right now have about 650 different things they could be working on right now. How do you help them from a leadership perspective drive the prioritization that is very difficult today with all the crap I was just talking about?
Yeah, well, that's...
I mean, stuff, really good stuff.
Look, Chuck, that is, I think, one of the hardest parts of our job today is there's so much information, and as a result, there's so many things that you could say we should be working on or you're behind on. And I think this is where we always go back to, like, we got to make sure this is a phrase I've heard before, keep the main thing the main thing. And then how do we take the information that's coming in to enable us to get to those outcomes faster? One of the things I always worry about is if the to-do list just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we aren't actually ever getting anything off the list, that's a signal to me that we're not actually making progress.
Yeah.
And so there is an element of, we've got to get some things off the list before we can tackle the next piece, and then make sure that we're allocating the resources so that we can get these things off the list, frankly, faster than we ever have before. And so that's, and for our business, it really comes down to what's the customer experience, what's the partner experience. If we start there, usually that can really well inform, are we working on the right things? Because if we find ourselves working on things that don't actually make one of those two things better, we're probably off, we're off target.
Okay, mythos.
Mythos, yeah.
You know what mythos is?
I do know what it is.
Yeah, I thought so.
I don't think it's happened to me yet, but...
That happened to you yet?
I don't think so.
So when you think about the need to leverage AI in your business effectively, and then you learn about things like these new models and the power and the mythos and the potential risks, what guidance are you giving your team?
I mean, we were just talking about this yesterday, oddly enough, in our leadership team meeting. Anand, who is our head of digital and tech, there's all these models that are evolving so fast, and we're using these models to code ideally faster. And to your point, I think you said it earlier, and unfortunately, sort of the bad actors using the models to figure out how they can infiltrate things faster. And so it really is an exercise of how do we make sure. In our case, we're working with everybody, right? OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, on how are we doing, the right work on our code and all of our technology so that we're hopefully staying a step ahead of what, some of the bad actors are doing. But it is one of those things where I think it's a constant pressure and it's a constant exercise in threading the needle, because you don't want to stop working on it. Yeah. But at the same token, you don't want to go so fast that you set yourself up for a bad situation. And so that's really the balancing act. And luckily, we've got a great leader in Anand, who, it sounds like you've got some great people around you too, that ultimately they're my guide on where we want to go. It's easy for me to say, boy, it seems like we need to be going faster. Boy, it seems like we need to be doing more coding with AI, and ultimately, we're trying to just balance it.
Yeah, it's funny. It is like the CEOs in America, it's always amazing to me because they look at their CISO and say, dear God, I'm trusting you, please don't let me down. Because I have no idea whether you're really that good or not, but I need you to be better than them.
There is a little bit of that.
A little bit of that, right?
I need you to be faster and better than them, and I need you to be thoughtful. That's the thing I think we always try to go through is how did we just be thoughtful in this? Don't get caught up in the moment, and just be thoughtful and remember this is the business we're in. These are the things we have to move quickly on, and you know what? If we find we got to go something faster, then we'll move faster. We'll allocate the resources to support you. But at the end of the day, I'm relying on his expertise, for sure.
All right, I'm going to ask you one more, and then I'm going to throw a few lightning round questions at you that I didn't tell you I was going to ask. So,
okay.
Of course, I've already asked you a bunch of stuff I didn't tell you I was going to ask. So when I think about our organization, 90,000 people, whatever it is, one of the big challenges is making sure that the strategy and the initiatives, especially the pace we're trying to move, that everybody in the whole organization understands that. And if you rely on traditional organizational communication, it's going to break down very quickly. How do you do that? Because your world's even different than our world. How do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You asked me earlier, what was one of the things coming into this organization that I was kind of like, boy, I got to figure out how to do this, is in the United States, we have close to 250,000 partners. When you look at all of our coffee houses plus our corporate offices. And then when you kind of go around the world, we have close to, 500,000 partners.
Yeah.
And, from China to India, we're pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
We're in 90 some odd countries. And
I drink my regular coffee all over the place.
That's right. I mean, the good news is you can get your iced Americano with cold foam everywhere in the world.
Perfect.
But the thing that I realized quickly was, look, we've got to have our strategy in terms where people can actually visualize it, not just hear the words, but visualize it. And so I came up with this idea of an umbrella statement of getting back to Starbucks. And the reason why that was so important is it instantly gave people like a picture of what we were driving towards. And no matter whether you were in, Cambodia to France to the United States, our front level partners, the people in the actual coffee houses, they had an idea of what I meant when I said back to Starbucks. It meant great craft, great connection, and then obviously a great place. Now, there's a lot of work to make that happen, but if I can keep people just aligned on that mission, that is hugely powerful. And, I think Starbucks, before I got here, had gotten a little too distracted on almost kind of like project work as opposed to, well, what is it we're trying to deliver for the customer and our partners? And when you can have a simple phrase like, look, we're getting back to Starbucks, and even our technology strategy is all about making Starbucks a better Starbucks. That visualizes for people what we're after.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important, the words we choose in our jobs has to create something that visualizes for people what we're trying to achieve. Because the work is very different given where you are in the organization or where you are in the world. But if ultimately they're rallying around the idea for tech, hey, it's all about making a better Starbucks than the Starbucks we have today, more than likely they're in the right alley, And the same thing goes for, menu innovation, store decor, where we choose to put the real estate. That's the approach I've taken, especially when you just have these big organizations that are everywhere.
Yeah, well, I think that given how everybody in this room and everybody watching understands your business and is a big fan of Starbucks, I'm going to end there because I think that's a great way to wrap. So, Brian and Niccol, rather.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah.
So hopefully you enjoyed that. I did. It's always good to see Brian. I was going to ask him about his golf game and all sorts of other stuff, but we'll save that for another time. I'm thrilled now to move into a section where we're going to talk about innovation, share a lot of the new innovation with you. Jeetu will lead that off, but first, we're going to roll a quick video.
Every day, billions of things just work. The lights turn on, the faucet runs, the signal connects. Everything clicks. Billions of times a second, all at once. From the simple things, to the human things, to the connected things that keep life in motion. And now, the intelligent things. In the AI era, reliability is the root of intelligence. Because every model, every inference, every agent depends on the network it runs on. Systems that never sleep, data moving at light speed, compute breathing through trusted networks, security that protects AI and protects against it, and observability that keeps agents accountable. This is where intelligence begins. This is why the world's most critical systems run on Cisco. The infrastructure the world trusts to turn intelligence into impact. Because when everything connects, AI doesn't just work. humanity thrives. Cisco, the critical infrastructure for the AI era.
Please welcome President and Chief Product Officer, Jeetu Patel.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? I'm excited to be here today, for three specific reasons. One is I think we're living in a very special time where the kinds of problems that we're going to be able to solve because of AI are going to actually surprise us in a very, very positive way over the course of the years. Number two, I'm really excited because the class of innovation and the tempo with which with the team has innovated for you is something that I'm super excited to share with you. In fact, we have so much innovation that we had to break this session into two parts, one that we're going to do today, one that we're going to do tomorrow. So really, really excited to share that with you. And number three is none of this really matters if it doesn't resonate for you. And what I think is going to happen is I'm hoping that we'll deliver some technology to you that allows you all to do your life's best work for your customers. And so I'm really, really excited to see if we can bring that to you. So with that, what I thought I'd do is before we go into the details around the innovation that we've had and the payload that we have, I thought I'd just zoom out and take a step back and say what's happening in the market right now, because we're in a pivotal moment in the market where we're moving from this era of chatbots that intelligently answered questions for us to agents that are like digital coworkers that are going to conduct tasks and jobs for us almost fully autonomously. And we're right around the corner, because we're not stopping there, we're right around the corner, like Chuck mentioned, also in this era of physical AI, where robotics and sensors are going to be actually sprinkled all around us. And these shifts are actually creating infrastructure requirements that are changing in pretty substantial ways. And if you just take a look at the patterns of consumption of infrastructure right now, the infrastructure demand patterns are fundamentally different, even from chatbots to agents. Chatbots were very spiky because they were largely human-led. A human asks a question to a chatbot, the chatbot responds back with an answer. And so the patterns of infrastructure consumption were very spiky. When you go to agents, agents are working 7/24, and so there's a much more persistent, sustained demand signal for the infrastructure, where it's consuming things at a very, very kind of consistent pace. But there's more than that. These agents are also operating at machine speed. And so what you're starting to see is the sheer volume of infrastructure that's going to be needed is meaningfully higher than what we've had in the past. And the way I like to think about this is humans click, but agents swarm, And so this demand that we're seeing, interestingly enough, is not just confined to data centers. It's also confined to the workplace. In fact, what you're starting to see as a pattern right now that's really interesting is you'll have these Mac Minis or Mac Studios that people will have, and they'll be sitting right by their desk. In fact, there's a whole new category emerging of desk-side computing, right? Where you have these Mac Minis that are sitting by your desk, and what you're essentially doing is having hundreds of agents that are on that Mac Mini that are starting to work on your behalf. And what this allows you to do is solve problems with these agents who become teammates for you as digital coworkers. And it's not just one Mac Mini or one desk-side computer, it's actually thousands of desk-side computers, because everyone's going to have one of these by their desk at some point in time. And as you have tens of thousands of these in your workforce, what's that going to mean? It means that you're going to have trillions of agents that are going to be proliferated everywhere, that are working with each other, they're going to be working for us, and that are going to be making sure that they make decisions on our behalf once we start feeling comfortable that we can delegate work to them. Now, what's really interesting about these agents is not just the sheer volume of these agents. What you're also starting to see is these agents are far more consumptive in their patterns of network bandwidth that's going to be needed. So on average, we just recently did a study every agent generates about 450% more traffic than a human for conducting that same task. So what you're going to start to see is the demand signal is going to be much, much higher, and infrastructure is no longer just something that's bound by compute and memory. It is actually very significantly network bound. And so as a result, what we're seeing right now is we are entering into a massive, what we call networking supercycle. And this networking supercycle is not just upgrades of infrastructure in your data center, which is actually happening at multi-trillion-dollar scale, and that's going to continue for the foreseeable future, but you're also going to start seeing those refreshes of infrastructure and reconfiguration of infrastructure happening in the workplace and happening with service providers. So what we need to make sure that we're doing is getting our organizations effectively prepared that as you have this massive upsurge of agents that are going to be conducting and automating workflows, that we have the right infrastructure that we can provide our business users so that they don't actually get constrained by infrastructure to go out and get the full potential harnessed from AI that they need. Now, this supercycle that we talk about isn't just limited to networking. In fact, we need to fundamentally reimagine security as well. Now, why is that? If you think about the agentic era, what happens? A user delegates a task to an agent. That agent then might actually talk to a bunch of other agents. It might be a local agent, it might be a third-party agent. Those agents then will make sure that they're talking to an MCP server, they might talk to a skill, they might talk to CLI, and access tools. Because one of the big differences between a chatbot and an agent is agents have tools access. They use tools on our behalf to get jobs done. And when you start looking at this entire architecture, it creates a whole new class of attacks. Now, it turns out that Cisco is at the center of addressing both of these infrastructure scaling requirements as well as security requirements for AI. And this has put us in an incredible position to drive three very, very specific and strategic outcomes for you that Chuck touched on briefly. So I'm just going to dig into that a little bit more, which is, the first one is making sure that we can help you in building out AI-ready data centers, because that's where the digital workers live. And so the apparatus that you're going to need to make sure that those data centers are operating at the speed and throughput and reliability and security and resilience that's needed, that we make sure that we can make that real. Number two, we want to make sure that we can future-proof the workplaces, because those workplaces are going to be where the human workers are, but you're also going to have agents working in the workplace, and that's going to require an uplift of the infrastructure in the workplace to be agent-ready, to be AI-ready. And by the way, these human workers need to talk to these agents within the data center, and so you're going to need that secure global connectivity fabric. And lastly, all of this is going to be extremely important that it's done in a way that's resilient from an infrastructure standpoint, what we call digital resilience, which is the ability for an organization, when they experience an outage, when they experience a breach, to be able to make sure that they can stand back up right away and not spend an enormous amount of time figuring out what actually happened, but in fact, compress the time to investigation, respond and remediate as quickly as possible, and get to what we need to get to so that the business can be back again and operational. And all of this, we want to make sure that we accelerate with AI. But here's the thing. When you think about the agentic era, it comes down to this one thing, which is every agentic action is going to be a routing challenge, it's going to be a trust decision, and it's going to be a telemetry event. And this is the very reason that we're focused on actually building out this vertically integrated platform that actually starts with the foundation of silicon and optics. And on top of that, what we have is our systems that actually drive the networking: switches, routers, access points. We have compute, we have data, we have the models, and then we have applications and agents. And it's wrapped around with security and observability so that you have full visibility in your estate and you can make sure that you can enforce policy so that you can remain safe. This co-designed full stack is something that we've worked very hard to go out and build, because when you start doing piece parts, it's actually pretty hard to integrate. And so when you start thinking about building a platform, we wanted to make sure that we built a platform from the physics, the silicon, to the semantics, the meaning that actually is driven by the agents. Now, as we built these platforms, one of the things that had to be kept in mind is the core characteristics we wanted to have in the platform to focus on you. And so the first one was, we can't be arrogant enough to think that the only technology that you're going to use within your organization is Cisco. In fact, you're going to have a whole slew of other technologies and vendors within your organization. And so we need to make sure that we have an open ecosystem. We also need to make sure that the technologies that you buy from Cisco are tightly integrated, but loosely coupled. You don't have to buy everything all at once from Cisco. But boy, when you do buy two things together, they should work like magic. And third is, we wanted to make sure that we could reduce your marginal cost of ingestion of new technologies that you purchase from Cisco. It should get easier and easier and easier as you buy more things from Cisco to make it easier to ingest, and it should add compounding value to you, which means it's not just adding value for what we've delivered, it also adds value for everything else that you have from Cisco. That starts getting compounding value. So today, what I wanted to do was I wanted to focus on 3 specific areas where we are going to be helping out all of you in bringing technology to bear. And those 3 areas are: 1, making sure that we can scale network infrastructure for the agentic era for you. That's number 1. Number 2 is we want to make sure that we can secure your agentic workforce. And number 3 is we want to make sure that we can fundamentally reimagine operations and really drive a whole lot of simplicity in there. So let's start with scaling networking for the agentic era. Now, as I talked about earlier, inferencing is happening everywhere. And at the core of this is Silicon One. We make our own networking silicon on top of which, that's the foundation on top of which everything else gets built. And so let's take a look at what we've built.
For decades, networks have connected us. Billions of people moving at human speed. Now, a new world is taking shape. Systems that learn, think, and act at unprecedented speed and scale. To move at this pace, the network must change. Not at the edge, not in software alone. It starts with silicon. Cisco's Silicon One was built for this moment. A single architecture that reaches across the network. Built for a world that never slows. Cisco's Silicon One.
So, thank you. About 10 years ago, and I take no credit for this decision, I wasn't even here. 10 years ago, Chuck and team made a strategic decision, which was, hey, we need to make sure that we get into building our own silicon. And what was set out as a vision was we need to make sure that we have a common architecture across all our chips that go across all of our devices. They have to be high performance, and there has to be programmability that's infused in there. So not every single time where you need to go out and change something or reconfigure something, do you need to do a new tape out of a chip. You can just have programmability be something, and through software you can make some of those changes. Today, I'm delighted to share with you that we've actually got a full family for a continuum of use cases for both data center and the workplace. In fact, I'm holding 2 chips over here in my hand. This is the G300 chip, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and this is the P200 chip. These 2 chips, this one is a scale-out chip, and this one is a scale-across chip. And we'll talk about these a little bit later, but these are the foundation of the things that we do to make sure that we can move AI traffic reliably, quickly, and securely within the world. So I'll just leave it over here. Don't let me forget them. They're a few $1,000. So let's start by talking about what these things do in the data center, and then we'll talk about what they do in the workplace. So in the data center, when you start thinking about the data center, Cisco is foundational to the world's data center buildouts. There are, $4 to $5 trillion worth of buildouts that are happening right now. There's constant CapEx that's being raised. In fact, we are very fortunate that we actually serve the largest of the largest hyperscalers. We serve neoclouds, we serve sovereign clouds, we serve service providers. And the fact that we serve all of those four entities at very large volumes and scales really helps us make sure that we can bring some of those innovations to the enterprise so that you all can start having the right level of technology built for your data centers as well. Now, one of the key problems that the industry is focused on is this notion of how do you scale up these data centers. And there's three patterns that have emerged. So the first pattern is when you actually have what they call scale-up networking, where you might have racks of servers that are networked together, and that's what you scale up. The second pattern is when a rack itself, which has lots of GPUs, might not be sufficient enough to go out and fulfill the workload, and so what you have is multiple racks that get clustered together within a data center. But now, what you're also starting to see is because of power constraints, because you can only have 80 to 100,000 GPUs typically in a data center, what you're starting to see is this pattern of scale across data centers, where two data centers might be hundreds of kilometers apart, and they actually start operating like one giant computer. And all of these things require very, very sophisticated networking at high volumes. And to address these needs, Cisco has been extremely focused on ultra-high performance scale-out and scale-across solutions. And like I mentioned earlier, here's what we are starting to do with delivering scale-out solutions. And I'm going to start with what the chip is, and then we'll go into the systems. Because the chip is the G300 chip that I showed you earlier. This chip is a revolutionary chip because it has 102.4 terabits of Ethernet switching that's happening. It's a successor to the G200 chip, which had 51 terabits of speed. So this is twice the speed, right? It's a 3 nanometer process node. And here's the crazy part. That chip actually has 250 billion transistors in it. 246 billion transistors on this 100 square millimeter package that you see, the package substrate. So it's a tremendous piece of computer science problem that's been solved. And it's basically the G300 puts us in the heart of some of the largest AI clusters in the world. And literally, you can't get more performant switch chips in the world today than this one, right? Yep, thank you. And so that chip then gets placed into systems. And so we will have both air-cooled and liquid-cooled variants of systems with the G300 chip. So we have the N9300 system, which is actually focused on enterprises, and we have the Cisco 8100 system, which is focused on hyperscalers, right? And we also have new optics. These are 1.6 terabit pluggable optics and 800 gig linear pluggable optics that make sure that we no longer need just copper. You have photonics that are actually communicating packets at very, very high speeds across clusters within a data center, which is pretty amazing to see. So that's how we're innovating for scale out. Now here's what we're doing to innovate for scale across. For scale across, just like you had the G300 chip, we've actually built the P200 chip. The P200 chip is a 51.2 terabit chip, which can actually process 20 billion packets per second, but it has this specific and special capability, which is deep buffering. And what deep buffering allows you to do is, imagine two data centers that need to act like one logical computer that are 800 kilometers apart from each other. When you send a packet over, you need to make sure that if there's packet loss, you don't have to restart your training run. So what this chip does is it actually has deep buffering capability in it, and it powers new systems that are both 51.2 terabit fixed systems. These are the pizza boxes that can get networked. Or it powers 28.8 terabit modular systems through line cards, right? And basically this is a chip that is a routing chip. So we have this 8223 fixed router that both runs Sonic operating system as well as iOS XR. And it's got both 400 gig and 800 gig pluggable optics. Now, why am I giving you all this detail? Because these pieces of infrastructure in data centers are really complicated to build. And the GPU is great, but the GPU is no good if it's not networked. And what we are doing is not just networking the GPU within the data center, we are now starting to network data centers across from each other so that they can act as one logical unit. So that's what the scale-out solutions are for the agentic era. Now, we're also partnering with NVIDIA on a number of fronts. And so we started with the Cisco Secure AI Factory with NVIDIA, which is a reference architecture. We now have our switches that are fully integrated in the NVIDIA Spectrum X architecture. And what this means is that our switches work with NVIDIA's NICs to deliver low latency and intra-cluster communication at very, very fast speeds, right? And then what we also have is NVIDIA silicon that also gets used in Cisco's chips. So one of the things we want to do is we want to make sure that we continue to stay very open in the market. And we want to have the full stack that's well integrated, but we also want to use what else is there in the market from others. And so that's some of what we're doing in data centers. But as we discussed earlier, it's not just about data centers. We want to make sure that we fundamentally think about reimagining the workplace for networking as well. And so in the workplace, I'm going to take a break for a sip of water. There's a lot over here. I didn't realize my mouth will be so dry. Chuck, you got a joke? Thank you. All right, so essentially we need to make sure that we can fundamentally reimagine the workplace as well. And this is something that's not been that obvious to people so far. Most people thought that AI would be largely conducted in the data centers, but what you're now starting to see is the traffic patterns are going to start increasing in the workplace as well. So over the last year, we've refreshed our entire campus branch network. This is the largest refresh we've had in Cisco's history. Everything from switches, to routers, to secure firewalls, to Wi-Fi access points, even industrial devices. We've made sure that we've kind of innovated across that entire portfolio of products. And what have we done? We've done a few things. One, we unified hardware. So one of the things that was always asked was, rather than having different brands that were actually hard to manage, what we now have is a unified brand of hardware between Catalyst and Meraki. We have unified software for managing these, and we've got unified management. And today, we are continuing that momentum. And so what you'll see over here is we will have new smart switches, we'll have new routers, we're going to have new premium outdoor Wi-Fi systems, but the one that I'm particularly excited about, specifically in the era that we're going into, is the Cisco 9550. This is the most powerful core switch we've ever created. Now, why is it important? Because there's two classes of switches, and there's a lot of emphasis that's placed on access switches, and we've actually built a bunch of access switches, but the core becomes the backbone, and for agentic workloads, when you actually need to make sure that you have high volumes of workloads, if you don't have a strong backbone, then that becomes the bottleneck of your network. And the 9550 is one of those most powerful kind of switches that we've built for the core. And all of this is designed to be quantum safe. Now, what we want to do is make sure that as we upgrade this infrastructure, it's not just about upgrading the infrastructure. We also want to keep innovating so that your infrastructure is protected in this new AI-powered world of attacks. Right? Because Chuck talked about this, mythos is a true phenomenon. In fact, we are living in what we like to think about as a post-mythos world, where the security must be actually fused and baked into the network. And models like mythos really show how bad actors can actually compress the time, where from the time that you announce a vulnerability to the time that an exploit happens is now a matter of minutes, if not seconds. So you have to make sure that there's a systematic way in society to address this challenge. And so how do we help address this challenge? There's two specific areas that I'm going to give you as examples of what we're doing to address the challenge. One of them is, of course, the basics are going to happen. We will make sure that if there's patching that needs to be done, we will provide, kind of very regular patches so that you all can patch that. But that's a very tactical problem. What we need to also do is make sure that we can have some more strategic areas that we can work on with mythos. So the first area is this notion of vulnerability shielding. And what that does is, because the patch cycle is going to get more and more frequent, but sometimes you might not have the ability to patch as quickly as you'd like to, we need to make sure that we provide you mechanisms of what you do in between patch cycles. And so we now have this product called Live Protect, where you can now have compensating controls that can be applied in between patch cycles. We'll talk a lot more about that tomorrow. And then the second area is this notion of exploit containment. And what I mean by exploit containment is you want to make sure that you can stop lateral movement through your hybrid mesh firewall within your estate, because you have to assume at this point that the bad actors have already infiltrated your network. But what you want to do is prevent lateral movement and intercept it whenever there's actually behavior that's starting to seem anomalous. And hybrid mesh firewall gives you this kind of ability to sprinkle enforcement points for security across your entire fabric of the network. And you'll see, demos of this later tomorrow. So what are we doing basically to help you scale and protect your networks with AI? The way to think about this is, not only do you need to make sure that you have the scaling of the network with agentic AI, but you also need to make sure that you secure your agentic workforce. One of the biggest challenges people have with agents right now is they don't trust them. And if you don't trust them, you're not going to delegate work to them to use them. And so what do we need to do to make sure that we feel good about trusting them? And the reality is these agents are going to be everywhere. And so there's three things that we feel need to happen to secure these agents. The first one is we have to make sure that we protect these agents from the outside world. There are going to be bad actors, there are going to be adversaries that'll try to have prompt injection attacks on agents, that'll try to make sure that they can data poison the agents so that they can alter the agent's behavior. We want to make sure that we don't have that happen. That's number one. Number two, we want to make sure that we can protect the world from agents, because these agents will oftentimes start behaving in ways that you don't want it to behave. And so you want to make sure that when that happens, you can intercept and give them guardrails. The way I think about agents is they're kind of like teenagers. They're supremely intelligent, but they have no fear of consequence. And sometimes they do stupid stuff. And so you need to make sure that you can protect the world from them. And lastly, you want to make sure that you can detect and respond at machine speed. So let's start talking about how do we start protecting agents from the world. So when we start talking about protecting agents from the world, think about this as a brand new attack vector. And so you have to make sure that there's both safety and security that's paramount. And about 1.5 years ago, we launched a product called AI Defense. Now, AI Defense was a product that was built so that you could actually make sure that these non-deterministic models that we all use these days, right? They aren't predictable. You ask the same question twice, you're going to get a slightly different answer. These non-deterministic models, how do you make sure that you have visibility into what data is going into those models? Is the model behaving the way that you want it to behave? And when you can get the model to not behave the way that you want it to behave, are you able to intercept that at runtime? And so we built this product called AI Defense, and it was largely built for models and apps. Now, as we've moved into the agent world, we wanted to make sure that AI Defense could also be something that is used for agents. And so what we've done is we've added a whole basket of capabilities around adaptive testing and guardrails, around security for agentic supply chains, and around making sure that we have support for any agent platform, whether it be Claude or Codex or OpenClaw, so that your estate is safe and you can protect the world from the models. You can protect the world from agents. And so, so that's kind of what we actually started with by adding these capabilities. But here's the reality. We've actually made sure that these agents, as they're being deployed in multiple different ways, that we start to make sure that we can provide you with tooling so you can protect yourself and your organization from this. And so what we've done is we've developed capabilities to help builders everywhere in the world to safely create and deploy agents on any of these platforms, right? And so a couple months ago, what we did was we launched this product called Defense Claw. By the way, completely open sourced. You can go out and download it today if you want. It has a bunch of services that can allow you to make sure that you can scan for your skills, you can scan your MCP server. It'll hook into either OpenShell, which runs OpenClaw, it'll hook into Claude Code, or it'll hook into Codex. And it fully integrates into Splunk Cloud and AI Defense. And this was something that we announced at RSA a couple months ago, and what we've seen is a massive uptick within the market of the use of these services in open source. And so you're starting to see that the open source tooling that we're giving out to our customers and to the builders and developers is starting to gain traction. So we are going to continue to keep investing in open source, and you should rest assured that Cisco is very committed to the open source movement, and we will continue to make sure that we keep investing in open source. Thank you. And so we've made a huge amount of investments in the open source community, but what we wanted to do was we also wanted to make it easy for you to use these technologies, because not everyone might want to download open source versions within their organization. And so what we've also done is we're making sure that these capabilities will also be part of Cisco Secure Client, and that's going to be available in July. So now let's talk about protecting the world from agents. So essentially, when you start thinking about protecting the world from agents, what you're trying to do here is make sure that when the agents start drifting, when they start behaving in ways that you don't want them to behave, you can figure out and detect that they're drifting and intercept right away, right? And so this notion of zero trust, which is least privileged access that you give to humans. Now, what is zero trust? You give humans the least amount of permissioning so that they can get the job done. You don't over-permission users with rights that they can do whatever they want, right? That zero trust for humans has always been focused on you have to prove your identity, and we have to make sure that we can then verify that we trust you as a user and then allow you to do the things that we need you to do. That's the whole basis of zero trust, which is access control. As you move into the agentic world, we have to move from just plain access control to action control. And that action control is actually something that is a very, very difficult thing to do, because you have to make sure that you intercept every action and verify that the behavior that the agent is exuding is in fact aligned with the intent that you had of what that agent should be exuding as behavior, right? And then you need to be able to control that agent. So what we've done with zero trust is we've moved from access control to action control. And the question is, what needs to be done to make this happen? And there's three things that need to be done to make this happen. Number one, you have to know the identity of every agent within your organization that's running. Number two, you need to make sure that you can authorize every action of every agent that's running. And number three, we have to be able to adapt to risk that might emerge from the behavior of agents in near real time. And so what we've done is we've actually focused an enormous amount over the course of the past year in ensuring that we've got all kinds of capabilities that we've made available to you for agent security. And everything from discovering the agent, everything from being able to safely delegate work to an agent, to having the right level of MCP gateways and LLM gateways so that you have some way to intercept a request before it goes to these different tools. All of those pieces are starting to come into play. Now, a big area for this that's foundational in agentic security is also the identity of the agent, and specifically identity of the non-human identity. So a few weeks ago, we made an announcement that we're going to have an intent to acquire a company called Astrix. And Astrix is a pioneer and invented non-human identity. And you should expect us to be very committed to making sure that every machine, every service, every agent within your organization will have an identity apparatus from Cisco that we will be able to provide to you. We're really excited about this acquisition. It's not closed yet, but we're very excited about the possibilities that that'll have. So with that, that's what we're doing basically to protect the world from agents. Third is what do we do to make sure that we operate at machine speed and scale? And when you really start thinking about this deeply, here's the challenge at hand. You know, data is the key for defending at machine speed and scale. We have a lot of telemetry within our organizations, we have a lot of data, and that's something that we have to understand well to be able to defect. Because what you need to do is you need to understand baseline behavior, you need to detect abnormalities, and then you need to make sure you connect the dots. And that's why we recently announced Cisco Data Fabric. What is the Data Fabric? It's basically a common data platform that's powered by Splunk that handles data and signals at massive scale, petabyte scale, from networks and security as data sources, from applications as data sources, from third parties as data sources. And what we'll be able to do is drive action in the organization from this flow of telemetry that we have by correlating that telemetry. Now, one of the examples of how we're going to use this Cisco Data Fabric, it's going to be a foundation for several core capabilities. One of those is going to be the SOC. A lot of you over here are security professionals. In fact, a lot of times people worry about, in the security world, the short staffing that is there with security analysts. It gets to be very difficult sometimes for the security analysts to really figure out how they're going to be able to keep up with the inundated demand that they have, because the signals are just increasing for them, and they don't have enough capacity to go out and make sure that they can observe every single signal. And it's a state that's getting worse. There's about 4 million jobs in cybersecurity that go unfilled every single year in the United States alone. And the reality is you just don't have the luxury to investigate every single alert. So you have to make trade-offs. And think about how crazy that is, that you have to make trade-offs on alerts that could be a breach within your organization because you can't address all of them. The question we have to ask ourselves is, what if we could go out and investigate every alert that comes in? And the reality is we're now starting to get to that place where we believe that we will have the ability to analyze every single alert. And that is going to be a reality that's within reach. And the way that it's within reach is because your SOCs are going to get agentic. They're going to be powered by this data platform, and you're not going to need to have humans. You will have these agents that will autonomously be able to identify anomalies, that will be able to identify breaches that are about to happen, and over time predict that something might happen and prevent it before it even starts, right? But security is not the only challenge when it comes to responding at machine scale. So you will hear a lot about the agentic SOC tomorrow, But in addition to security, you also need to have observability that needs to be done at machine scale. And that, when I talk about observability, you need to understand how agents are behaving. You need to understand not just the performance of the infrastructure and the resilience of it from an observability standpoint, you need to understand the quality of the outputs that these agents are producing. And you need to have observability for the entire stack. And so what I mean by observability for the entire stack, and this is really important, it's making sure that you look at how is your infrastructure performing? Is the utilization of the GPUs at the right level? Is the infrastructure resilient? But you also need to see how your model is performing. You also need to see how your application runtime is performing. And then most importantly, are the agent evals? How are those performing as well? And what I mean by this is you will have to assess for resilience of your infrastructure, but you'll also have to assess for the behavior of agents. Are those agents behaving the way you want them to behave? And when they're not behaving the way you want them to behave, what do you do? But there's a third problem that's starting to emerge right now. And the third problem is, I don't know how many of you have been told by your management right now, hey, these tokens are getting too expensive. Ease up a bit, you know? And the reason for that is because what's starting to happen is what you might have budgeted for your token capacity for a year, an agent going awry could actually go out and consume that within a matter of a week. And so you have to make sure that this notion of tokenomics, efficiently being able to go out and use tokens so that you can generate positive business outcome, is going to be superbly important for you. And so we've actually got this entire stack that we're building out for observability capabilities. And so essentially what you'll see over here is we're supercharging Splunk agent observability for that entire stack. So you will be able to go out and look at the resilience of your infrastructure, assess agent behavior, and make sure that you can gauge the tokenomics within your organization of whether or not you're using tokens in the right way. Is it too many tokens? Do you need to ease it up a bit? Do you need to kill some agents because they've started going nuts? You want to make sure that you kind of ease it up a bit. So those are the things that we'll be doing. Now, in the quest of this kind of mission to make sure that we can provide full visibility and observability, we also acquired a company recently called Galileo. And Galileo essentially is an AI observability and evaluation company for a multi-agent system. In fact, we have Tin and Yash over here, who are the founders of Galileo. The third founder, Vikram. Stand up for a second. So these gentlemen and their co-founder, Vikram, who couldn't make it here today, thank you, were actually working with Google and with DeepMind, and they worked with Demis Hassabis and team to make sure that they could actually start thinking about how AI was going to be evolving. And so we're delighted to have them on our team, and Galileo is going to be at the core of our observability offering for agents and assessing agent behavior as we move forward. So folks, that wraps up what I wanted to cover from an agent security and observability standpoint. Next, and probably the most important, is how do we make sure that we fundamentally reimagine operations? Because this is what you all live on every single day. And one of the areas that we've gotten a lot of feedback from you over time is, hey, I need to make sure that you can fundamentally help me simplify operations. Now, there were 3 design constructs that we had kept in mind for reimagining operations. The first one was we needed to make sure we gave you simplicity, but without taking away the sophistication of the Cisco portfolio. Because Cisco has a lot of richness in its capabilities. We didn't want to take that away, but we wanted to give you the simplicity for managing it effectively. Number 2, we wanted to make sure that you could operate at agent speed, real time, and where you don't have to go out and linearly scale your capacity as your organization scales, because your budget is not growing proportionately with the growth of the company. And 3, we need to make sure we leverage an open ecosystem, because there are many, many players in the market that you need to work with. And so I'm here to tell you that this is all now a reality, and I'm delighted. This is one of the probably one of the best pieces of work that I've seen a team do in a long, long time, and that is Cisco Cloud Control is now a reality. And for those of you that don't know, here's what Cloud Control is about. Cloud Control basically is, at its core, simplicity without losing the sophistication of Cisco. And so what we've tried to do is say all the products that you know from Cisco and love, literally all the products that you know from Cisco and love, will be managed from Cisco Cloud Control. Yeah. I thought you guys would get revved up about this. This is pretty cool. And so what this allows you to do is it basically allows you to operate at agent speed, right? This is going to be available, by the way, in controlled availability in the United States today. We've already got customers that are using this. You'll hear from a customer a little bit later, and we'll show you a demo. But it's now in the US, and we'll actually take it out globally to the rest of the world as well. So this one, it allows you to operate with simplicity without losing sophistication. Number two, it allows you to operate at agent speed. What does that mean? It means that you will be able to make sure that for things like troubleshooting, for things like debugging, you will be able to have cross-domain telemetry that can be correlated. What I mean by cross-domain telemetry is if you've got a configuration issue, or let's say you have a user issue, and you want to know where that issue is originating from, you will be able to correlate telemetry from the network and security and come up with an insight by looking at those two different domains. Second, we will have purpose-built models that we have built. We've built models for networking. We call it the deep network model. We've built models for security. We call it the foundation security model. And we've built models for time series data, which is the time series model. And so we built purpose-built models, and we are investing very heavily in AI research to make sure that networking becomes a fully automated AI-based kind of system. And third, we're going to have these trusted agents. And the operative word is trusted agents. That'll be able to go out and monitor the entire network and be able to be working on your behalf. But the reality is these agents are Cisco agents, and we know that you might want agents sometimes from other vendors. And one of the big pieces of feedback we got with Cloud Control was, hey, this is great that you're doing it for your systems. What about other systems? So here's what we did. We said, why not open up Cloud Control to the entire ecosystem? Right? And so we have, on day one, 52 partners, and I hope that this continues to keep growing very, very exponentially, and they're going to be building apps within Cisco Cloud Control, right? You will have a marketplace, and you will be able to make sure that you can publish applications that are built within Cisco Cloud Control. And these are not just companies. You yourself might want to go out and build an app in Cisco Cloud Control, and you'll be able to do it. So the best way to understand Cisco Cloud Control is not by me talking about it, but by me showing you a demo. And so what we thought we'd do is we'd show you a demo with 5 key capabilities. By the way, there's thousands of capabilities. I don't have enough time to show it to you both in today and tomorrow's session. But there's one thing you should keep in mind. Every single demo you see at Cisco Live will originate from Cisco Cloud Control. How bonkers is that? The entire portfolio will start from Cisco Cloud Control, right? This would seem like fantasy if you just talked about it to someone just a few years ago. And by the way, here are the 5 capabilities we'll share with you. Number 1, we're going to show you unified management across the entire estate. Number 2, we'll show you how troubleshooting works across domains. Number 3, we'll talk to you about connecting fabrics between data center and campus. Think about an EVPN VXLAN fabric. We can actually, with one click now, configure that entire fabric. Number 4, We have secure agents that'll be there within the enterprise that you'll be able to secure. You'll be able to secure these agents anywhere in the enterprise, right from within Cloud Control. And number 5, we'll be able to monitor and optimize token usage so that you don't get surprised with the budget, because you can always monitor what's going on. And so to show you this, I'm going to have my good friend and the person that actually runs the Cisco Cloud Control team and our platform in AI, DJ Sampath, come up on stage, and he's going to give us a demo. Give him a big round of applause. All right, DJ, so I've built you up over here, buddy, so what are you going to show us?
Jeetu, one of the interesting things is every time I come to Vegas, I end up signing up to do a live demo. And here I am.
It's a test of intelligence on stage, but I'm glad you're doing it.
All right, okay. So let's dig in. If you mind putting it up, there you go, perfect. So this is Cisco Cloud Control. Now, if you've used ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, this should instantly look very familiar to you. We wanted every operator, every admin to just be able to walk up and start working. Now, I'm going to hit this grid over here on top, and what you're going to see here is how Cloud Control organizes itself. Now, this structure is very intentional, right? Right down the middle, you see every single Cisco domain and every single product that you know and love from Cisco. You've got Meraki, Innersight, Hyperfabric, Security, Splunk, IQ, and Nexus Dashboard. Every single thing right over here. Now, it's important to understand that all of these products are accessible with a single click, with a single sign-on. You're not signing into multiple accounts over and over again.
Right.
One single shot. The full power of all of these dashboards are available right here. Now, to the left of these products are the platform services. Now, these are capabilities that span across the entire domain, an entire portfolio of Cisco. For example, inventory is able to show you every single asset inside of your infrastructure. Your firewalls, your switches, your routers, your collaboration devices, all in one place. And topology shows you how all of these devices are connected. You can now zoom in and see a lot of details in whatever granularity that you want.
And this is, by the way, all devices. This is not just one family of devices. This is the entire estate of devices you might have from Cisco.
That is exactly right. And then you'll see back towards the right over here are these apps. These apps are bespoke experiences that are built for very specific use cases that, again, can potentially cut across different domains and go even beyond just Cisco products. But we'll come back to this in a second. So what did we just see? So we saw how we're bringing all of these domains together. We saw how we're introducing platform services and how we're unifying experiences that cut across these domains. That was the first set of capabilities. Now, Jeetu, earlier, we were talking about how your phone wasn't connecting to the network. Now, what I'm going to do is...
By the way, anyone that questions Cisco being an AI native company, that screen should tell you everything that you need to know about Cisco. We start from humans being able to talk in natural language to your infrastructure.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to show you a simple example where I ask it a question: why isn't Jeetu's phone connecting to the network?
We were actually talking about this backstage.
That's right. And the interesting part is this, right? We're not necessarily, I'm not here opening up a network tool. I didn't file a ticket, oops. And the interesting part about doing a live demo is sometimes I might have to do it one more time. There you go. I didn't actually ping up, a bunch of folks. I didn't raise a ticket. I just asked. And then right away, I got a response back from Cloud Control that said, hey, listen, there might actually be a widespread network issue that's going on. And I might have to do something a little bit more. I might have to do some digging over here. So what I'm going to do over here is I am going to take this in a canvas by clicking this simple button over here. And if you remember, Canvas is where you and your team work alongside agents to be able to solve and debug problems, right? So here the assistant noted that maybe I should take a look at the network topology. Right? Now, if you've used Codex or Cloud Code, you know you have these fancy slash commands.
Right.
We said, you know what, we're going to put those inside of Cloud Control, inside of the Canvas product. So with the slash command, I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, show me the local network topology. Jeetu, something really cool is happening here where you'll notice that it actually triggered the topology agent. Now,
So it's basically turning on all these different agents and kind of putting them to work.
absolutely. It's a multi-agent system that is being orchestrated. And right now, the topology agent just came back with a really nice view of the entire topology, and it tells me what might actually be going on. Take a look at this. Using generative UI, it tells me now that these access points are offline, and they're unable to reach the controller because the controller is remote across a VPN. Now, to be able to get deeper into this, I'm going to go ahead and start investigating this Catalyst controller by clicking on this very simple button that says, hey, send this information to the canvas. You'll notice right away that this has caused the troubleshooting agent to start going in deeper. Now, this is where we're using the purpose-built models. The deep network model, the foundation sec model, they're all working in tandem to be able to come back and tell us exactly what's going on. So now you have a detailed view of exactly what might be going on. So what seemed like the access points not working was just a symptom. What's really going on here seems like it might be something happening with the firewall.
Which, by the way, would be so hard to detect if you were to go out and look at the networking access points only, because by the time you get those things troubleshooted, it might take you, a few days, or a few hours at least.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times these are configuration problems as well. There
Right.
may be nothing wrong with the devices, but it may just be configured slightly differently.
Yeah.
So what I did over here was said, hey, go ahead, start investigating what's happening with the firewall deployment. And you'll notice something really cool happening here, which is we just shifted domains. We went from networking to security without logging into different dashboards. An agent just triggered this, and now you see that I have a view of what might be actually going on. I'm going to reduce the size of this window so you all can see this. You'll notice here that the site-to-site VPN tunnel is actually down. And the reason why it's down is because it turns out it's missing an OSPF route exchange. Well, it also has exactly details of how you would go about fixing it. With one single click, I can now go ahead and remediate all of this using Cisco Workflows, which is now a native application inside of Cloud Control.
And by the way, you could have delegated this entire task to an agent once you trusted enough to say, I don't even have to approve it if I don't want to. Once I trust you, you can just get it fully autonomously fixed.
That's exactly right, Jeetu.
Yeah.
And so what did we see here, folks? At the end of this, we went ahead with a single prompt. We went from your device to an access point, to a controller, to a firewall, and we seamlessly did debugging and troubleshooting across different domains in a matter of minutes.
All right.
How cool is that? All right.
We're just getting started, though. There's a lot more.
That's right. And Jeetu, one of the things that you were mentioning earlier was...
So what you've shown so far is you've shown unified management and you've shown cross-domain
troubleshooting.
And troubleshooting and debugging.
All right. So now we're switching gears to be able to start talking about how are we going to connect campus and data centers together, right? You talked about Mac minis that are going to run tens, if not hundreds of agents, right? So say, for instance, you've got Codex that you're running inside a Mac mini, and you want this Codex to be able to access your source code that's running inside of your data center. Now, this is proprietary stuff, right? So you want to make sure that you're connecting these two things together. Now, here's the thing. This is a pretty complicated step. Normally, this means you're spinning up a project, you're filing tickets. It's going to take forever to be able to go out and do this. You know what we did? We built a simple app for this. I'm going to click into this app called Unified Cisco Fabric. I'm going to go ahead and create a fabric connection between a data center and between my site. And I'm going to say, hey, listen, I want to put a firewall in between this. And with a single click, you're going to see that the agents start to kick in, and they're going to go ahead and provision a complete topology that allows you to connect your campus to your data center.
Your data center.
Folks, it just took minutes to be able to do this. All right, now that we have done this, the next big thing that's going to happen is you're going to see agents are going to be running everywhere, running in your campus or running in your data center. The thing that you talked about was how do we make sure that these agents are trusted?
Right.
This is a big topic, right? And you want to know exactly what the agent is doing, what can it access, and where is it allowed to go. Now, to be able to give you that visibility, you know what we did? We built an app for that. Here's an app called Agentic Security. You'll notice here that we are bringing together a number of different types of technologies. We're bringing together zero trust network access, identity intelligence, and all of the AI guardrails to be able to give you complete visibility into where these agents are running. I'm going to pop this out just a little bit, the screen, so you can see it. You can see exactly where the agents are running. You can see what applications it's accessing. And on top of that, we've seamlessly fused this with the identities of these agents, which becomes really important. And now you know if an agent's sort of acting up, you instantly have the ability to see it right here. Now, let me give you another view of this. We can actually go directly into the actions that each one of these agents are taking. If it's submitting pull requests, if it's searching, if it's creating a PR, you can now see the entire life cycle of the agent actions.
Of the agents, yeah.
And finally, you also have the ability to enforce policies. Say that you want to limit the codex access exclusively to engineers. It's no longer setting up and doing a lot of changing dials. It's simply a natural language command, and it creates the entire policy, a mesh policy, which can be enforced pretty much anywhere. And what's really interesting is we're bringing together a number of different technologies behind the scenes.
Yeah. So this is basically, just so everyone understands, you have agent security. It has 5 or 6 different products behind the scenes, but they're all working together in unison.
That's right. You got secure access, AI defense, secure client, and Splunk. All right. Now, one of the top of mind topics for a lot of people, when they start deploying a lot of agents, Jeetu, is that they're worried about token consumption. And you were talking about runaway agents.
That's right.
Right? So to be able to make sure that we're tracking all of that stuff, you know what we did? We built an app for that. All right, so I'm going to click into agent observability over here. And agent observability is actually powered by Galileo and by Splunk, what you're just talking about. And now you can see every single agent that's running inside of your environment and all of the tokens that it's consuming, right? So here's an agent that's actually consuming a ton of tokens, and it's almost $24,000, and you can just see exactly what's going on inside of that specific agent. So you no longer have to worry about this. If you need to kill that agent with one click, you could dismiss it, and it's gone. All right.
That's great.
I'll have one last thing, and then I'm going to wrap this up.
Yep.
I know you talked about the marketplace. So we've made it really simple for you to be able to seamlessly come into the marketplace app, add an agent, an app, a skill, or an integration seamlessly with one click into Cloud Control so that you can now use Cloud Control to be able to both consume information and send information back to any one of your partners inside of your ecosystem.
That's amazing. And this is all with 52 partners in the marketplace available on day one.
That's right. And that is the power of Cisco Cloud Control.
Anything else? Give DJ a big round of applause. Anything else you want to cover?
There's one more thing, Jeetu.
Yes.
We're introducing today Cloud Control Studio. Now let me tell you what Cloud Control Studio is. We know that every single customer is going to want to customize these applications and these agents so that they can truly unlock workflows that are running inside of their environments. What Cloud Control Studio does is it allows you to build agents and applications seamlessly. And today what we're announcing is something super exciting. We're giving them the tools to be able to do this very, very quickly. Today, if you wanted to build a custom app or an agent, you can do that in a matter of minutes with Codex that is natively baked into Cisco Cloud Control. And so it's just going to take you with a single prompt, you can create an application.
In fact, Greg Brockman from OpenAI has a message for you. He couldn't be here today, but he wanted to actually talk about Cisco Cloud Control and Codex. So can we just roll video, please?
Hey everyone, hoping you're having a great Cisco Live. Cisco and OpenAI have been working together closely for over a year. and it's been incredible to see what the teams are building. At OpenAI, we know firsthand that infrastructure is the foundation for everything else. But infrastructure is also getting more complex, more distributed, and more dynamic every single day. The classic way of managing infrastructure does not really scale to where the world is going. And that's why this work with Cisco is so exciting. Cisco sits at the center of so much of the world's infrastructure, and they've been an incredible Codex customer and partner to be working with. With Cloud Control as a secure agent harness, Cisco is bringing Codex and our frontier intelligence directly into the workflows that people already use to understand, build, and manage their infrastructure today. Codex is able to reason across systems, work with real operational context, and help teams turn intent into action. And with the Codex SDK, Cisco can make that experience reliable, tool-aware, and deeply integrated into the way infrastructure teams actually work. And it's that combination that is so powerful. Cloud Control gives customers a simpler way to manage infrastructure, and Codex gives them an agent that can help build and operate the applications they need on top of it. Just 4 weeks ago, this was only an ambitious vision, but today it's reality. I'm just so excited to see Cisco bringing this to customers, and I'm even more excited to see what you all build and do with it.
Give DJ a big round of applause, folks.
Thank you.
My apologies, we're running a little bit over, but I have a guest that I want to make sure that we actually have a dialogue with. And so my next guest over here is Hasmukh Ranjan, who is the CIO of AMD, that is a user of Cloud Control. Let's make sure that we have Hasmukh come up on stage. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay, so Hasmukh, talk to us about the problems that you're trying to solve in the industry today.
Yeah, no, I think like everybody else in this audience, we are deploying agents. We are deploying agents to make sure that we address complex workflows inside of AMD. And for that, we see some of the things that are happening in the industry, which is a lot of focus on data. We are focused on data and making sure that we have data in the right place. Change management is another big topic. We want to make sure that every employee around the world is trained, and that's happening in the industry as well. And then how do we take all those things and make sure that we operate in a cycle with a layer of infrastructure that is abstracted to take advantage of AI at the very high level.
And so Hasmukh, why is tokenomics so important right now, and why is the cost of tokens such a big deal?
Yeah, you know, this is like, as enterprises become more and more successful, the cost of deploying AI agents, from all perspective, from efficiency perspective, from performance perspective, and hard dollar perspective, is becoming a topic of discussion and topic of concern, because these line items were never in anybody's budget, right? So it's a simple example. If you take a very conservative estimate, if an employee you have trained to leverage AI agents and spends $200 a week through tokens. So if you multiply that, it's about $10,000 a year if you take a 50-week thing. And for 40,000 employees, that's about $400 million. For 90,000 employees, you're talking about $900 million. That line item never existed a few years back.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a topic of conversation. This is a topic that you will hear about in many, many forums. And you know, IT guys are naturally designed to optimize setup, and we work to make sure that we take care of that.
Now, you've been a longtime champion of Cisco. You sit on our global advisory board. You push us pretty hard. Tell us about your experience working with Cisco. What can we be doing? How are things going?
By the way, thank you for adding me to the advisory board. It's a fantastic event. Oliver does a great job in managing that and making sure that we all are heard of in that audience. But look, Cisco, we operate with two different focus areas, one in the operational side and one on the strategic side. Operationally, you know, you talked about Cisco Cloud Control, Defense Cloud. We are using it to make sure our operations become much more smoother than they are, so that we can spend our time in AI infrastructure, managing agents, managing tokenomics. strategically, you are now making it or taking it further and making sure that problems or future or infrastructure of futures are designed to take advantage of this entire setup. So from that perspective, I feel very, very good working with Cisco. But the most important thing that I have noticed over the past 3 years, and many of the folks in the audience will probably agree with me, is the ability to listen to customers. It's fantastic. Attending a GCAB with Oliver, being here, or being many, many forums, Cisco is listening and is trying, and we are working together to solve infrastructure problems for future, which is a great place to be. And that's where I take a lot of pride and happiness in working together as a partner. Yeah, you know, it also reminds me, in early 2000, a book came. Who Says Elephant Can't Dance? A very famous book by Lou Guster, right?
Yeah.
It feels like you guys are dancing and making sure that this entire
I hope you're dancing with rhythm.
And yeah, so big congratulations to Chuck and management team. It is no surprise that today you guys have crossed $500 billion of market valuation. So big congratulations to all of you to be able to achieve that, right? It takes a lot of effort to be able to get there.
Thank you so much. So if you were to, you're rolling out agents at AMD, how's it going? What have you learned? How are you using Cisco Cloud Control and all of that?
Sure.
Tell us quickly what's going on there.
You know, as a company, you know, our objective is to build great products. Our objective is to be a thought leader in enterprise AI adoption. And with that in mind, we are making sure that every employee around the world has access to the entire technology platform that we have for the company. In there, we are partnered with Cisco. I think I can very safely tell you that of all the vendors that we deal with, the most engagement that we have from IT, AMD IT, is with the Cisco team, because we have a shared goal of open architecture and making sure that we solve infrastructure problems for the future. And that's where I take a lot of pride. So Cisco Cloud Control, Defense Cloud, I think we have partnered together. I don't think DJ likes me as much because of the kind of engagement
that we have. You give DJ a lot of feature requests.
A lot of feature requests, and he's responding. So Cisco is listening, and Cisco is responding, and that's a great place to be.
Asmak, thank you for being here. What advice would you have as you as we end this to the IT practitioners and your peers in this group?
Of course. You know, I have sat in this arena or this forum many, many times in my entire career, right? Every time I would sit here or in different infrastructure forums, one thing that will always be there. Hey, how is IT contributing to the bigger and greater success of an enterprise? You know, in early 2000, there was a forum or there was a paper written, Does IT Matter? That was the most depressing part of my career because, you know, I was attending a forum where they're questioning what we are doing to help an enterprise. Transition from there to today,
it's completely different.
We talk about infrastructure and hardware is back. One thing that we miss is hardware operators are back as well. This is the best time to be in IT. This is the best time to make sure that we drive the success of AI infrastructure in every enterprise, regardless of where you are in your AI journey. This is a great place to be, and I feel very, very good to be part of an IT team leading an AI infrastructure.
Asmak, thank you so much, my friend. Take care. Big round of applause. Let me bring this to close. You know, about 2 years ago, I stood on this stage, and we committed to you that we would be a different company in a year and almost an unrecognizable company in 2 years. Judge for yourself, but in the last year alone, we've actually had new silicon for high-performance switching and routing. We've had converged hardware architecture between campus and branch. We've had unified on-premise and cloud management for data centers. We've had a completely reimagined security stack for agentic AI. We've actually built the world's most advanced and open platform for collaboration. And we're building Cisco Data Fabric powered by Splunk. And today, we're fully revolutionizing operations with Cisco Cloud Control. So I'm hoping that you actually feel that this is a very different company than what it used to be, that we're really, really honored to be serving you all. And we used to be a collection of products. We are now a fully integrated platform. And that's why we believe that Cisco is the critical infrastructure for the AI era. We couldn't do this without you. We are honored that you take the time out of your days to come over here to join this event. There's a lot more in store for you. Thank you all for being here. We love you.